there, I'm Cindy Davis, Content Director for AV Technology, and with me today is Senior Vice President and General Manager of Sharp, Mark Quiroz. Thanks for joining me, Mark.
Thanks for having me, Cindy.
Well, we're going to be talking about a great subject, and I've known you for many, many years, and Sharp, of course. So I'm going to talk about really the future of Sharp projectors. So let's start off with three key areas that you've noted are important to you: the technology, go-to-market, and customers.
Yeah, sure. The technology, we're all doing this because of the technology, right? And how we can move things forward with innovation. I've always been attracted to companies that are innovative. And so joining Sharp was a big opportunity for me. I think, the technologies that we see as a big opportunity in the future for the display market, of course, direct view LED is kind of one of the big growth areas that has really become mainstream. When I was in the AV space before, it was kind of coming into its own certain applications, but the costs were high. I think now we've got much better cost structures, right? And the costs are coming down. So I think the flexibility of that technology is going to be fantastic. And so Sharp will be focusing on that in a big way. Additionally, of course, you still have large format display technology, LCD technology that is pervasive. I don't see any backing away on that as well, right? So there will be some point in the future, not in 2025, but some point in the future where direct view LED probably surpasses what we see in large format. But for the time being, we'll still be making sizable investments and driving large format display as well. And then there's projection. It's interesting. A lot of what was the talk, years ago on large format display and LED was that, was going to take projection and make it to where it wasn't as useful, right? And it was going to replace all projection technologies. And I would say that probably wasn't as accurate as one would think, right?
Yeah,
I think, as just technology evolves, and I think projection technology has also evolved and getting better. And I think there's some unique use cases that will allow for that. So those are kind of some of the key areas from a technology standpoint. I think one of the other key dynamics that is happening is just the go-to-market, the various partners and the players within the AV space are evolving in a dramatic way, right? There's a lot of consolidation in how display kind of goes to market. You've got a lot of private equity that's come in to work on trying to drive, efficiencies and values within the space. And so I think that is both a challenge, but it's also an opportunity, right, for the right organizations to benefit from funding and direction and access to new technologies, right, as it relates to that. And then the customers, you mentioned it, customers is another thing. At the end of the day, we do this to serve our customers. And I think they're being challenged with so many things at this point in time, and they're going to look for the ultimate in support and effective deployment of technology, right? Because at the end of the day, the technology is making business easier and being more productive. So I think those are some of the key factors.
So I want to follow up on the customers. So as you know, with AV Network, we have both the end user with AV technology and with SEN, the integrator. So talk a little bit about that dynamic, because as you mentioned, customer support is huge. So how do you support both the integrator and the end user?
Well, I think it's understanding what the needs are of both, communities, right? I think you want to make things very simple for both the integrator community as well as your end user customers. So, one of the other areas related to the technology is bringing, more focus on solutions, right? And the tools to be able to manage and deploy and operate the display fleets, whether that's in the area of kind of the large format displays or direct view LED, as we talked about. We just need to make that easier, because it's a little bit of a challenge going from hanging one single panel to then deploying a big custom project where there's it basically comes down to it's a mini construction project,
Mhm.
right? So you've got a much more involved process, and I think the ability to be able to support those communities with simplified deployment approaches, and as well as the right support network, right? So access to engineers and R&D and so forth on a real-time basis. I think that's really important, both from an integrator standpoint as well as the end user. Making it easier to understand what the value is on the end user side of deploying this type of technology, I think is another one that we need to do a better job of marketing the capabilities and the ROI from those investments. I think coming from the IT community, right? I spent many years in the IT space. What we did well on the IT side was really develop kind of the ROI for large scale investments. I think that's an opportunity for us here as well. Talking to the end users, right? What is the productivity enhancement? How can you quantify some of that so that the end users understand that, and they can then communicate that as they try to compete internally for those very precious, resources and dollars to spend, on a display project versus another type of technology integration or project.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you mention IT because, boy, has that changed dramatically in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Within higher ed and corporate, IT is really, to the chagrin of the AV folks, IT is really becoming the place where all of this lives, right? So that management, and if they're going to be managing hundreds of displays across
Yeah.
a campus or worldwide,
Right.
it really, that whole IT factor is huge now.
Yeah, and it's a function of kind of the technology as it's made its way from kind of the traditional AV space to more mainstream. And now the ubiquitous usage of display has put it in kind of, like we said, in the mainstream. And therefore, it's connected to the network. And
Yeah,
anything that's connected to the network then becomes an IT
absolutely. Yeah.
responsibility to a certain degree, and just because you run into issues around security, you run into other types of reasons why IT cares, right? The throughput of the network and those types of things. And so, it's a natural evolution, but it does come with different challenges, but also opportunities, right? As it kind of evolves.
Well, your IT background is going to be great here. So what are
Yeah.
the factors that you expect that are really going to impact the overall display business most in 2025?
I mentioned a little bit. I do think that there's, we've seen headwinds, right? Economically, right? I think that everybody has seen that 2024 is a bit challenging from a market perspective. I think that persists in 2025 to a certain degree. I still think there are going to be pockets of opportunity within that. But I definitely think understanding the market well and understanding the the go to market space that we're operating in, right? I mentioned the consolidation, the contraction that's happening within the go to market, and making sure that focus on those opportunities and those customers that are in a position to grow and to take advantage of those types of customers and what they're doing, and really understanding kind of what the use cases and the applications that they're trying to drive to kind of further that. I think that's going to be incredibly important given the headwinds that I think will persist. I think the political landscape in the U.S. is going to bring change, and anytime there's change, there's definitely winners and losers, right? And I think that's an opportunity in and of itself, right? Is finding those opportunities, because I do think that with the change and focus the trying to find where are those key segments of growth to go after. So I think that'll be another unique situation that we find ourselves in. Um, and I think the technology is advancing very quickly. You have AI, which is something that has come into the forefront in the last couple of years. I think we're in the marketing phase of AI. So, AI has been with us for many years. Let's be
Right.
honest, right? There's
Obviously. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
technology, the capabilities of machine learning and algorithmic functions have been there for many years. But I think we're in that marketing phase where it becomes the buzzword of today. But that's when it becomes more mainstream, right? And then your average consumer and user is then asking about it. So I think that's an opportunity in and of itself for integrators and AV specialists to be able to start talking in that language and demystifying that for customers. Like what is it that you really need? What is actually valuable today versus what would be valuable in the future?
Mhm.
So I think those are a few of the key things that I see on the horizon that I think any one of us in the industry should kind of keep top of mind.
Yep. Absolutely. And I'm glad you um, noted that the AIs. I mean, it has been. I mean, companies have been using it for a very long time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just now become really the buzzword. So everybody wants to know, and stay tuned on that, right?
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so let's talk a little bit about customer behaviors and applications. Because things you mentioned earlier. How from projector to direct view LED, and so talk about what you see or hope to see in 2025 for some of those applications and customer behaviors.
Yeah, I think the key will be, and I'll take one segment of the market, right? I think coming out of the pandemic, the world, and I spent some time on the consumer side. So the last company I was working with was consumer focused, and there was a big move to online shopping, right? And so everybody thought that that was going to be the end all be all, but I think folks are still looking for having great experiences within the retail environment. But that then raises the bar on what that experience needs to be,
Yeah.
right? Because it's got to compete with a very efficient way of buying and trading goods. And so I think that's where the opportunity to then deliver these incredible in-store brick and mortar experiences
Yeah.
becomes critical for retailers, in which case, how do you do that? Well, you need to communicate to your customers, and you do that through display, right?
Mhm.
Visually striking displays, those experiences that you deliver. So I think that's what I would like to concentrate on. I think that's a big opportunity for us moving forward. So I think the key is going to be, how do you compete for those types of opportunities in the future, and it's really going to be how you differentiate the value that you're delivering to those organizations so that they can then do a great job for their customer base and attract. So I think that's something that I think will persist. I also think you asked about the applications and the use cases, right? I think there's going to be a broad set of use cases for the different technologies that Sharp has, or that some of the other manufacturers are focused on. And I think for us, trying to uh, continue to innovate in the projection space, because let's be honest, not everything can be solved by a physical display. There are certain applications that just lend themselves more to being able to project images. I was taken aback by, I hadn't seen this before, but I was taken aback by, I guess it's like this golf challenge that was on TV the other day. You had this huge golf projection system where they weren't actually playing golf; they were in a simulated
Mhm.
golf simulator, and Tiger Woods was, hitting his shots on this big simulator. I just caught it. I was flipping channels, and I was thinking, wow, that's a unique application of projection,
Yeah.
right? And so I do think that there's going to be continuous development in those areas. that will lend themselves, in the future. So that's something. And then I'm just very hopeful for, I think, I mentioned this before in a conversation I was having with the team. I think we're still in the very early innings of where display is as a mainstream technology. I think
Mm-hmm.
the applications across the board in every industry, and I'm particularly excited about kind of the rebound of kind of the commercial real estate. It's been in a tough spot, right?
Yeah,
And
it has.
display for has suffered from kind of that downturn in commercial real estate. But as folks are coming back to the office, again, it's going to be around getting the right technology so that they can work more productively in a more hybrid type of
Mm-hmm.
environment, right? To make it simpler for the, kind of the seamlessness of working from home, but working, in an office, how to make that easier for consumers.
Yeah. I think what you had said about retail, and I think it really applies to every vertical, retail, back to the office, higher ed. It's about the experience. And I think display technologies are uniquely positioned to help bring that experiential experience to the fore, and get people to go back to the office.
Well, and just the attraction, like
Yeah,
quickly, the visuals, striking images, it just, there is a difference, right? I mean, when you have that dynamic interaction
yeah.
versus kind of the still image.
What are you most excited about for 2025?
Yeah, I do think that direct view LED is probably the one category, given that, I came in at its kind of inception when it was really starting to take, I don't know, was that 7 years ago when I first started in the display space. And now the applications are starting to widen, and we're kind of at that knee of the curve
Hmm.
where I think it's been growing gangbusters, but it's now gotten to the point where it's really starting to be pervasive. That's really exciting for me, and what can be, because I think whenever you have that innovation, the cycle of innovation and, kind of accelerates from there, right? So I think we've reached a point of breadth and size where, the additional investment that's coming in. I mean, there's a reason why you see consolidation and investment coming into the display space, because I think they see there's an opportunity,
Sure.
right? And so I think we're right at the knee of the curve to see even more exponential growth in that area over time. So that really excites me, because I do think that 2025 is going to be a key year for that.
It is going to be a key year, and I can't wait to see what happens over the next 6 months, 12 months. So, Mark, thank you again. Great conversation. Look forward to seeing you in the upcoming shows.
For sure.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
Great. Thank you.